The term barbecue is sometimes used in the United States to describe outdoor cooking in general, and most often grilling. For culinarians, barbecuing refers to a cooking method where low, indirect heat, often from live fire and thus smoke, are used to slow cook full-flavored meats, such as lamb. The key to barbecuing is that the meat is not placed directly over the flames or a heat source. Rather, the meat is cooked with the heat and smoke of a fire, traditionally smoking wood or hot coals, cooking gas, or even electricity. Many restaurants have large brick or metal ovens specifically designed for barbecuing. Many are even portable. What's most important is that the heat is indirect, which means that it's not directly beneath the meat, but rather off to the side. Barbecuing is a low-temperature, slow method of cooking designed to gently break down the connective tissue in meat until it is melt in your mouth tender. Thus, barbecuing is a perfect technique for tougher cuts of meat. These tougher cuts of meat are loved by chefs as they're intensely flavorful and less expensive. That's a great combo for any restaurateur. As a general rule, tender cuts of meat come from muscles that are less used, while tougher cuts of meat come from working muscles. In the case of lamb, the cuts that are most commonly associated with barbecuing include the ribs, sometimes called Denver ribs, the shoulder, and the leg. I'll now demonstrate one of my favorite recipes for barbecued American lamb shoulder. The first step in preparing our barbecued lamb shoulder is to make a dry rub, and a dry rub is going to really flavor the lamb all across the outside, but also sort of help flavor it on the inside as it cooks very slowly. So here we go. To make our dry rub, I have over here some hot paprika. Toss that in the bowl with some chili powder. You're going to see we're going to put a lot of spice into here. Have some black pepper and some ground coriander. This is some thyme and a little bit of ground cumin. Now we have these last two ingredients that are really essential to our rub, and that's salt and brown sugar. The reason is that right now I have a lot of flavor in my dry rub, but then I need to add the salt and I need to add some sweetness, and that balances out perfectly. So let's toss in the salt and toss in the brown sugar, and then I just have to mix up the rub just like so. And I'm doing this with my hands. You obviously can do it with a spoon if you'd like. I also have gloves on because of the chili in here. Now once that's all mixed together, let's move over to our bone-in lamb shoulder. It's right over here. It's a split lamb shoulder. And again, I love to leave the bones in for barbecue. It sort of helps to hold it all together, and it really increases the flavor. So all I need to do is to take the dry rub. I'm going to put it on the outside of the meat, and I'm massaging it into the outside of the meat on all the cut surfaces. Let's turn the meat over real quick and toss in a little bit more. At this point, our shoulder is ready to go into the smoker where it's going to cook low temperature for a good 12 hours. And periodically, I'm going to take a little bit of this beer right over here and we'll mop it across the lamb shoulder to keep it nice and moist. And after 12 hours, you're going to see how beautiful and tender it is. After the time in the smoker, this is what our finished product looks like. And remember that that shoulder went in with all that dry rub on the outside. See what's happened in the smoker? Between that paprika and the chili powder and the smoke in the smoker, the outside of that lamb has gotten very dark and it's really smoky. And take a look at this. Look at how tender this is. If I just pull back some of the meat, it just rips effortlessly. That's how you know when barbecue is done. Fork tender. And once it's done, I can take it and I can slice it up or chunk it, or I can just pull it right off of the bone like I've done over here. You can see these beautiful, tender, just pulled pieces of lamb shoulder. Now that we've pulled all the meat off of the bone, it's time to really jazz it up, and we have a really nice barbecue sauce that we put together. It's a mustard-based barbecue sauce, and there's also a lot of lamb stock in it as well, and that just adds to the richness. So we have the flavor of the mustard, and we have a little bit of sugar in there as well as some additional vinegar and spices, and also that lamb flavor. Absolutely delicious. Once we've put it on top of the lamb, all I need to do is just stir it up, just like so. Now the important thing when you put barbecue sauce onto our pulled lamb shoulders that you don't want to have too much barbecue sauce, because then it's really going to drown out the flavor of the lamb. And that's about perfect. So here you go to make a beautiful sandwich. Look at this. Just going to take that hot barbecued lamb shoulder mixed with that wonderful, wonderful barbecue sauce. Put it onto a bun, stack it up, and that's a great barbecue sandwich. This barbecue lamb shoulder recipe, as well as others, can be found on the American Lamb Board website. For more information and lamb recipes, visit www.americanlamb.com.